Thank you very much. The Minister of Small Business Development has today announced what she terms instruments of financing to help with the financing issue that small businesses often find themselves in. We are here in Katlehong where this meeting was held, and we have with us the Minister so that she can explain to us what exactly has changed and how her announcement is going to make the lives of small and medium enterprises even easier. Minister, thank you very much for your time. You have made a number of changes in particularly the way SEFA works, which is the financing agency. One of those, for instance, is the issue of location, that now the application can be made at municipal offices. Please do tell us more about that.
So we are improving how people access SEFA, because majority of our people do not know how to access SEFA. So part of it, and that's why we are here at the TVET College to say we are going to have the services of SEFA available from the incubation centers across the country, but also across municipalities to improve access. But we are also going to have those services available online already through the SEFA website, www.sefa.org.za.
Municipalities, by their nature, I've always found them a bit chaotic when you go there. Will there be a dedicated area, room? How is this going to work?
Municipalities have local economic development units, and we have not empowered the local economic development units to deliver services to the people, and their services closest to our people. So we are taking advantage of the fit that goes to municipality for all other things that they need at the municipal offices, and we are going to train the LED units to assist with the SEFA services that are available online.
Let's talk about the issue of improving the turnaround time when you are applying. I think that is big, because you know that the last thing you need as a small business person is to be waiting for weeks on end for a reply about funding.
Yes, we have pushed SEFA to improve from 42 days on bridging finance to at least 20 days on bridging finance, and more than 60 to 80 days on term financing to at least 30 days on term financing. The target is we are working on 5 days for bridging financing and 10 days for term financing over the 3 years, and we are hoping we can get there quicker than the 3 years.
Let's talk about the issue of blended financing. You now are changing and making sure that the people who want grants, they'll be able to take on debt as well. But one of the requirements is that they create at least 10 jobs. Can you explain that to us?
What we experienced over the last 5 years is that people who received grants we were not tracking them, and the grants did not achieve the intended purposes. But businesses who applied for loan, they were paying a serious high premium on the loan from SEFA, whereas they are not benefiting from grants, and they were in turn, they were the ones who were actually remaining in businesses, but they were being throttled by the high cost of financing. So we're saying when you apply for loan financing, you'll then have a component of grant. So there's nobody who's going to be given a grant. There's no grant to disperse. There are loans, but we are going to reduce the cost of the loan, but also to make the cash flow available, and also to the overheads of running a business. We're introducing the grant portion of that. And we put conditions, because we're saying our responsibility is just not to give people money and run their businesses in an inefficient way. We want people to run businesses in an efficient way, but also create jobs. So if we want you to create jobs, and you agree on 10 jobs or 5 jobs, whatever we'll agree on what is possible, we'll give you a grant proportional to what the metrics, your conditions you have met. But we're saying if you say to us you are going to create 5 jobs or 10 jobs, and at the end of the day, 6 months down the line or a year down the line, you dismiss the people, we are going to require repayment, because you have not fulfilled the condition of the grant. We call it conditional grant and not a full grant.
But how are you going to monitor this? I'm curious about this part.
We monitor it because now we do what we call post-care funding, but also the amounts are not dispersed in one go. So for instance, you apply for 5 million rands or 7 million rands or 10 million. We don't give you the 10 million rands in one go. We disperse it in tranches, and as you have met certain milestones.
Okay, let's talk about the role of your department broadly since you've taken office. How have you observed the landscape of small business people in South Africa and how they conduct their business? How can they get better?
Actually, the landscape is that what I've realized is that as government, we do not actually know what's going on in the entrepreneurship space. We tend to think that there are no entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs in townships and rural areas. They just do not have access to the information, so therefore they cannot access us. But because we don't even have dedicated statistics that deals with small businesses and do a full census of them, because that is very costly. But that's why we want to put the services closest to the people in the townships and rural areas and non-urban areas in general, and target those groups that have previously not been given specific focus. That's why we're targeting women, young people, and people with disabilities, but also rural and township communities.
When we were at the investment conference last week, I observed and spoke to a couple of entrepreneurs. And one thing I have in my journey of covering small businesses and entrepreneurs have seen is the issue that small business people often find themselves in this business space because they are hungry and not necessarily because they are entrepreneurs. So this obviously points to the economic conditions. How do we create passionate entrepreneurs that are not living from hand to mouth?
That's where we come in, because there are three things that we can do. You can have an entrepreneur who is born an entrepreneur, that naturally they're entrepreneurial, they're easy to support. But there are those who are entrepreneurs because opportunities came their way and they took the opportunities. We have a responsibility to also support them because you can enhance them, we train them on other things. But there are those who are also entrepreneurs because material conditions force them to be entrepreneurs. The fact that they were ready to take up that challenge, it means that it gives us an opportunity to support that entrepreneurial flair and nurture it to become full entrepreneurial, because what they need is proper management skills and proper acumen, business acumen, and then we assist them to say, how do you market your products, and try to facilitate access to market and opportunities.
And lastly, Minister, 2020 is just around the corner. How is your department, going to make itself more visible and available to South African entrepreneurs?
We have started. We are going to go on national roadshows across the countries to not only communicate our services, but to follow up on the work that entrepreneurs are doing and check whether we can even tap in to the private sector on where they can live, when we can leverage more support, but also just access to market opportunities.
Minister, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That was the Minister of Small Business Development, Minister Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, and she was just giving us an update on what her department has been up to, and also the announcement of financing instruments that have been that were announced today in Katlehong in the East Rand that aim to make the financing landscape far more easier for SMMEs. And with that, I hand over back to the studio.